evening, everyone. Welcome back to Discordant Dragons. Tonight, we have a great lineup for you. A bunch of friends have gathered here. And just like I advertised last week, we are taking a break from the rank punditry, the stench of Hormuz, the stinky Yenta, if you will. We're taking a break from the usual dissident talking points, and we're going to talk about other stuff tonight. So each and every one of the dragons tonight is about something that you probably don't expect about art or culture or technology. So it should be a fun conversation. And to have that conversation, I have brought on a slew of friends. We have one more than we usually have in the party tonight. So feast your eyes and ears upon all of my guests, starting with the featured guests of the evening, Mr. Christopher Everard and Ginger Monster. Welcome back, my friends.
Oh, I've been it's a featured guest tonight. Oh, fancy.
Well, you two have the greatest beards of all of my friends, so that's why you get to be the featured guests.
Oh, this is true. This is true. I have seen his beard, and what a mighty beard it is.
We also have, returning from a long absence, Kizza, old-time friend and supporter of the channel. How you doing, Kizza? Glad you're back.
The king has returned.
We also have Ardent Party is our +1 tonight. Glad you're here too, friend. How you doing today?
It could always be worse.
And we have the usual co-host 3 of 12 back again. Howdy, 3.
I mean, if not, I could do it myself. I have some experience. If it's a
he had a phone call a minute ago before we started. We'll go ahead and mute him.
Oh dear.
Let's go ahead and mute.
They've been looking for you to talk about your car's extended warranty for some time.
He about 10 minutes ago, he said he had to tackle a phone call before we went live. I thought that he already had that done. That's a fun little happenstance there.
Okay.
So, 6 of us today. My God.
There are going to be 6 of us. Yes, indeed. Because today I wanted us to have more of a non-political, non-culture war talk. Because that's usually the kind of stuff I cover all of the time. And I realized I was getting a bit sick of it. And I thought maybe my listeners would also be getting a bit sick of it. So I wanted to try something a little different tonight. It's still the same format, still the same show. I just wanted to cover topics that, are not going to be the usual talking heads. It won't be on the Twitter. Not going to hear this on your usual favorite dissident or chud streamer. So I'm not saying I'm never going to cover politics again. I just wanted to take a week off because, man, it's just been nothing but political and Hormuz garbage for weeks. And I just got sick of it. So we're going to talk about other things tonight. So tonight,
I must admit, I'm looking forward to seeing what you have up.
All right. So 3 will join us when he's done with his phone call. I thought he'd be done by now. So let's go ahead and move to the regular view here. And where's the branding button? Man, I hate how they change the interface all the time. There it is. All right. The StreamYard people, they keep charging more for their service. And I guess they want to make sure that you feel like you're getting what you pay for. So they're constantly moving stuff around and adding features and shit. I hate it. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I received like a couple of emails in like 10 days or so saying stuff like, we did some new shit. And
yeah,
I didn't bother reading.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have to name a party leader. And since Kizza has been gone for ages, we'll make him party leader tonight. So Kizza knows the drill. He knows that he chooses a dragon or he nominates a party member to choose a dragon. And whoever chooses the dragon is the first one who has to answer the dragon's question after we watch the video or read the article before it opens up to general discussion. So let's bring out the dragons tonight. The red dragon has man and machine. The green dragon has games of the future. The black dragon has living fog, loving fog. The white dragon has don't flock together, a play on the phrase birds of a feather do flock together. And then the blue dragon has Polish pool power. So, Kizza, you probably don't have any idea what these topics are about. Do you want to be the first one to choose a dragon, or do you want to nominate someone else to? Also, while you think about it, welcome back, 3. You finally done with your phone call?
Yeah. Sorry about that. I kind of was like juggling a bunch of shit at the same time.
No problem. Glad you're back with us. Welcome to the stream. So
yeah, we're all just wondering if you got your car's extended warranty or not.
Well, hopefully I got the extended fuse on my PS4 Pro.
Ah, excellent.
Yeah, look at this. Look at Tree Godfather. I didn't renew StreamYard for those reasons. Yeah. Well, if I didn't have to pay for it to be able to stream to all the platforms that I stream to, I would be using something else. I'm seriously considering going back to Restream, even though Restream pissed me off because when I used it back when the whole Ukraine shit kicked off a few years ago, they forced you even. Now the price hike has actually arrived. We know how much everything costs in the UK, and it's pretty bleak. The price of the once entry-level 512 gig Xbox Series S shot up by 130 pounds to an eye-watering 430 pounds. That's more than the new Nintendo Switch 2, which is 395 pounds. A terabyte storage Xbox Series X is 700 pounds now, up from 500 pounds, meaning that there's only a 120-pound difference between it and the PlayStation 5 Pro. So let's get off me. There we go. Let's move down here. The raised prices come as the consumer electronics market is being squeezed by the global RAM shortage, which has caused the cost of key components to skyrocket. Market analysts have also said that the U.S.-Israel war with Iran could further compound the issues. Yeah, tell me something I don't know. All right. It's compounding fucking everything. The price of other devices like laptops, phones, and tablets has also risen, but video game consoles are often sold with slim or sometimes no margin, which makes manufacturers particularly susceptible to rising costs. So, there's not really... This is why I archive my articles, so this stuff doesn't happen. All right. Let's move to the Green Dragon, which is this young little guy here. Look at this cute little guy. The Green with us tonight is a young, playful worm who hopes to be a great artist and cultural leader for his clan and the humans they rule. He loves the video games of Earth and chose this story tonight to ask us about the future of gaming. The article was just a launching off point, so we won't actually be talking about Xbox. We will be talking about this. And it comes to you first, Christopher. With many factors leading to the death of consoles and maybe even PCs for gaming, what do you think the future of gaming will be? How will hardware changes affect the world of gaming going forward?
I will ask for some specification. When you say the future of gaming, how much into the future do you speak of?
I would say at least, what do you see by the end of your lifetime? We'll put it that way.
Oh, Jesus. Well, for me, it's quite simple. It will be like a small box, or even like something of a size of what's the name in English? A small cigarette package.
Okay.
It will project like an hologram or some ray of light, and everything will start from that. You will not have keyboard, not have even like alimentation, will be solar something. And yeah, you could even go into virtual reality from that. You will not need much than that, to me at least. So the change of hardware will be drastic, and I think it's already accelerating and will not stop. It will worsen. There is even right now the common knowledge of people to not expect disc or physical media, or even for a computer you have back in the day you always have like the name in English, sorry, the ancestor of CD-ROM, what's the name
in floppy English? Disks.
Thank you, merci. You had floppy disk, then you have CD, then DVD, then Blu-ray, and now most of the computers don't have any of that.
Yep.
So it will worsen the more time pass, for me at least. It will start with console because it's the thing that most households have, but PC will be next. Even now you have what's the name, the Steam thing, the Steam Deck.
Steam Deck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's already like a small computer. You can even put your own OS on it and everything. So yeah, for me in the future it will be a small box, very small, with an hologram technology and nothing more. And everyone will have it like we have now for smartphone. That's my take on it.
Sure. Let's hear from somebody else. I would love to hear what you guys have to say, because I know at least Ginger and 3 have a lot to say about this, and I'm sure Kizza and Ardent can throw in some.
Well, yeah, there is a lot of specification required for this question, I think, because there's a lot of alarmist nonsense going on right now that is just not true. Like, especially there's some weird, really strange and alarmist messages coming from Gamers Nexus on the inability to build your own PC coming in the future. And like, first of all, they would have to decide to take physical hardware out of people's houses, for one thing, because the secondhand markets are still quite strong, especially if you want to go for an AM4 platform, right?
Because most of the stuff I build is OEM or secondhand anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And I do secondhand for almost everything myself. So
I'm not so sure about that.
Kits. DDR4 kits are going for about $100 for 3600 16 gig kits. And
the thing about secondhand hardware is that it does burn out over time. And if there is no more supply being added, then everything will become more and more scarce. And eventually it will simply become too priced out, in much the same way, in a much similar fashion to how the way in which classic cars are priced out.
Okay, but you don't wrap a pair of RAM around a tree.
That's true. But it does burn out eventually. That's true.
That's going to take decades.
So it will take decades, and it certainly will take decades. But as that hardware burns out, it will become more and more scarce. And given the vast quantity of people on Earth, there is going to be vast quantities of people all making the same demand. Yes, you can't wrap a RAM stick around a tree, but you can have a billion Indians trying
to on
that same piece.
Hey, give me a quart of moonshine and I'll try it.
The Indians are not interested in retro hardware. Retro hardware is a niche interest.
For now.
Now prices are way higher than they were even 10 years ago, but that also requires cultural changes in how people see it. Even like, say, mid-2000s family PCs have come back into some sort of desirability, because there's been a change in understanding of what people want out of retro gaming. For a long time, people wanted a completely period accurate system with a GPU that would paired up the same time period as their CPU. But now people are coming to the understanding that those sort of setups significantly bottleneck the GPU that is time accurate, and since there's way more on CPUs than of GPUs, even older ones, then basically what you can do is put together for the GPU, relieve that bottleneck, and there's actually plenty of availability for that sort of hardware, because you don't necessarily need the highest end hardware to fully relieve a bottleneck. Like for a really good example of this, a lot of people have or something similar for their dedicated glide system. For that to be totally unbottlenecked, all you need is a Pentium 3, 800 megahertz, like slot 1,
3.
And what you would have had at the time.
Are you aware of the fact that you're experiencing some pretty severe cutting in and out with your audio right now? Your internet seems to be quite shoddy, like it's struggling to maintain consistent connection.
Yeah, the service. I just had a call drop out. So
okay, all right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's making it at least a little bit more difficult than usual to follow along with what you're saying as well.
I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm not sure.
Since 3 brought up some stuff, I have things I would like to say about that, but I want to hear from other people first before I start to throw in. So somebody else take these questions and share your thoughts.
I ask a very important question. What would a hillbilly PC would look like?
Well, I mean, I don't really know. I guess it would look just kind of normal, like a do-it-yourself type of thing. A hillbilly PC, if I had to give it some particular flair, I don't know, maybe some NASCAR stickers.
Praise Dale.
I have a
Red one go faster.
I have a suggestion for how you could do it. You'd get one of those one of those big steel milk jugs that you would that you see in old movies of farms and such, and use that as the liquid reservoir for a liquid cooled system.
Oh wow!
Oh, have a moonshine cooled system.
Oh yeah, that'd work.
You have to strum the washboard just right to get the thing to turn on. To
yeah, here's another idea for that with Corgi from chat here. I love seeing hillbilly PCs where it's cooled by a liquid system running through an old dorm fridge, boxed fan, and hand pump. But it can see into the future.
Yeah, speaking of seeing into the future, I'll kind of take that side of the argument. You know, we know full well there are people who want to be jacked into their games the same way that they were jacked into the Matrix. So there's going to be, and I've said this before, that there's probably going to be a divergence between, you know, humanocentric versus cloud-centric for the lack of better terminologies. Okay. Where you're going to have one stream of gamers who want that physical experience of having a console in their hand, or even the controller from a Wii or whatever. I see the Tree Godfather is quite fond of his. So
I like the Wii. The Wii's a cool machine. I just wish it had better games.
I was never a big fan of it, but I do see the attraction. Yeah, but as I say, you're going to have one side is going to want that physical, hey, you know, it's kind of nice to sit down and relax at the end of the day sort of gamer. And then you're going to have the other guy who's a power gamer who wants to be in a haptic chair and wants like the entire full body feedback suit, weird porno things notwithstanding. But there's going to be that divergence, and the problem is going to end up coming that, or well, I guess it's the fantasist, futurist sort of side of my personality that sees this. But I can see at a certain point that people will be willing to trade parts of their brain's processing power to be jacked in.
I definitely see that being available in the future. We might even live to see some of that.
I'm only 50, but it's possible, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have my own opinion on all of that specific topic, and this comes informed from my understanding of how the brain tissue works. Basically, in order to get a direct brain interface to be able to function, either for information input or information output, you need to have specific tolerances of technology. You need to be able to achieve a certain level of, I don't know, detail/resolution. Now, what a lot of people think of as being jacked into a game, it makes you think like the computer is able to induce a dream state in which every single sensation that you experience is one-to-one to reality, except instead of your brain formulating this fantasy, it is the computer formulating the fantasy. Now, the problem with that theory is that in order to be able to achieve the sensation of input onto one of your senses, you need to have a direct brain interface with the area of the brain that controls those senses. So, for example, if you wanted to be able to have the information of a visual style, visual input information be transmitted directly into the person's mind, you would need to have a physical connection between the brain and the computer, specifically into the visual cortex of the brain. This is not easy because the visual cortex of the brain is about the size of a grape. So imagine trying to transmit an incredible amount of information into something the size of a grape using wires that are so fine that they can be put into this grape and then function in a fashion that even as you are moving your head around in day-to-day life, it doesn't get dislodged. Now, think about how the brain actually is in terms of its physical makeup. It's about the size of two fists held side by side, and it has the consistency of a slightly more tangible form of jelly. Imagine how difficult it would be to have something remain anchored into place with a high degree of security when the thing you're trying to anchor it into is made of jelly, and it needs to be able to survive being jiggled around on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Well,
Suddenly the idea of a direct brain interface kind of gets thrown out the window. So, in my personal opinion, the current paradigm of operating a computer with your hands and experiencing your inputs through purely sight and sound, that is going to be by far the most that we can expect. We might maybe get a standardized form of haptic suit that you plug onto various parts of your body
yes,
and
I
get
think
physical sensation.
I think that is more realistic. I think that I don't think we're going to have like what we see in anime and cartoons and movies and stuff, like the full immersive VR AR stuff. I do think what we will have is a more interactive ergonomic haptic system that's just an advancement over the VR type stuff we have right now. I do think that that's possible, and that's what we will see VR move towards in the future.
That's that Sword Art Online style of virtual reality helmet, by the way. There is a term for that. It's known as full dive VR.
Okay.
And that is so far out of the realm of possibility that, as far as I'm concerned, achieving that level of connectivity to a computer would require a given consciousness to be accurately simulated one-to-one on computer hardware, and for that simulated consciousness to then go through the experience of the virtual reality. It is,
yeah, I think we're a long way
opinion,
from that, if it's even possible at all.
Yeah,
I don't think that any of us will live
opinion,
to see that.
Absolutely, I don't think it is possible for a water jelly based brain to be able to experience full dive. That is the realm of fantasy.
So, Kizza, you haven't said much on this. Do you have anything you want to throw in on it?
Well, if I were to guess, I'm perhaps the most experienced gamer of everyone here by the capital rate of age.
Not me, but go on.
Sure, go for it.
Technically, I jokingly say to people, I was born with a Sega Mega Drive. As a joke, right? I've been gaming basically pretty much since before I came out of nappies. But given the evolution we've had, starting from the 4th generation up until the 8th generation, the 9th generation, I should say, that we're currently on right now. What I have noticed is when it comes to gaming itself, what it has a massive problem with is it's been heavily infected with the cancerous bureaucracy of corporatization of various studios and developers. And I would say this has really come apparent post the 2008 recession, as the gaming industry was the only industry that was consistently making money, whereas almost every other industry was losing money. And because of that, post with the drama of things like Gamergate and stuff like that, it has become heavily corporatized, and a bunch of tourists have affected numerous IPs and franchises as years gone by. And the way I see it is, since we were talking about retro stuff as well, one benefit we have with bonded technology is with emulation. And what we have seen is an entire giant modding community who have modded classic games to have modern day features which we never would think possible.
Yeah.
Such as, for those who haven't been paying attention, if you look at the N64, the entire modding scene of the N64 community has been crazy. They've created whole new game modes with classic N64 games, like with Super Mario 64, Legend of Zelda, GoldenEye, etc. All the classics you can think of, they made entirely new game modes with multiplayer connectivity, which wasn't a thing in the original games.
Yeah, I joined up to the modding community in the early teens, like maybe 2012, and all the crazy stuff you can do for Morrowind, Oblivion, Knights of the Old Republic, Skyrim. Like, just the sky's the limit with mods, man. Like, modding community stuff is crazy. Some of the stuff that you can do to older games.
Well, yeah. But like, for instance, most of those games were obviously PC only. I'm talking about cartridge-based console games where they've modded them to completely remake the games completely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've
played a lot of those too. Yeah,
that's the crazy
with
part.
Mario. With Mario 64, there was like a multiplayer with 100 player.
I've played a lot of fun, silly ROM hacks too for old like NES and Super NES games and Game Boy games.
For sure. I mean, should we even talk about all the various Pokemon ROM hacks? They've done one based on the anime, or the crazy like Pokemon Fusion ones, or the crazy like alternative storyline games, like Rogue and like and stuff like that. Or one franchise that I love, Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo 4. The fans created a Spec 2 2.0 mod where they completely added they've added new content from newer games. They added brand new events, brought back cut content, as well as completely revised the career mode. And there are people doing that with Gran Turismo 3 right now, where they brought in content from Gran Turismo Concept, which was a re-release of Gran Turismo 3 a year later, which took part with the Geneva show and the Tokyo Motor shows from 2002, where they show off a bunch of concept new mods. You have stuff like that. You've seen people relaunch with their own servers games from the PS3, Xbox 360 era, bringing back classic multiplayer games as well, bringing them back from the dead. Hell, even consoles like the Dreamcast, there's people still playing Dreamcast games or making brand new Dreamcast games from scratch today. So ultimately, it's us true gamers who know how to code, who are going to keep the industry generally alive. Whereas it comes to the AAA stuff, let's be honest here, it's full of consumers and tourists who don't really care for it. They're only into it because everyone else is into it. They're basically followers.
This is a good place to segue into what I have to talk about if you're done. Do you mind?
Yeah, sure. I'll let you speak, yeah.
All right. Well, I think that when I talk about the death of consoles, I say that from the point of view of what consoles represent. They are corporate slot machines. And even if you like consoles, like I like consoles, I just don't use them. I think that for us real gamers, us hardcore gamers, we are starting to realize that consoles are just not for us. Because look at the real gamers. Most of us mod or chip our consoles anyway, because of the region locked stuff, because of how we hate the stupid mandatory this and that. We don't want to have to pay for Xbox Live or the PlayStation Network or any of this bullshit. I think that we will see a divergence. I think that real gamers and nerd stuff will eventually fade from being mainstream. I think that the future of AAA gaming industries will want to go the route that all mass media corporate people go, which is live services. And you don't need these big, expensive consoles for that as technology becomes micronized and everything becomes clouded. Like the future of gaming, I think, like for your online, Call of Duty, your sport ball games, stuff like that, that is just mass-produced slop, GTA type stuff.
Call of Duty.
Yeah, I call it that for fun. I think what we will see with that stuff is it will become sort of this live service thing, like a Fire Stick, where you can have your Amazon Prime and your Hulu and all this bullshit on a little plug-in that just goes into a TV, and then they just sell you a controller. Or you just play it with your whatever your generic haptic digital interface is, if we're talking 50 years from now. But I do think that many of us, because think of all the old school gamers that are my age or even older, they raised their sons to be the same kind of nerds. This kind of stuff is what will survive on the fringe. We live in the golden age right now of indie development and small dev teams, right? I don't think this is going anywhere. I don't think it'll stop. And people like 3 of 12 that we have here today absolutely love building old machines, keeping old software alive. That's not going anywhere. So consoles dying is only in the corporate sense. I don't think that people having consoles and dedicated game machines is going anywhere. I think that will survive the test of time as long as we have electricity and a civilization wealthy enough to afford that kind of luxury for the common man. I think that will be around with us for generations to come. Now, the other part of the question, let me pull it back up here for us, is how will hardware changes affect the world of gaming? This is what I think about hardware changes. Like Ginger was talking about, the haptic interface stuff, the micronization, the affordability of old tech that is, in a way, very easy to repair if you have basic electronics knowledge and a small little workshop with a soldering iron and magnifying glasses and stuff like that. You can keep alive games of the 80s and 90s yourself and maintain and upkeep the tech required for that for decades and decades. And then eventually, we saw that with the advent of 3D printing, we see a lot of people having their own metal shops and printing presses and stuff in their homes and garages now. I think it would be possible in the future for people to have small facilities that can make a lot of these things, like replacement motherboards and chipsets and things that might actually be available. Like maybe technology to put those things together won't be millions of dollars in a giant industry eventually at some point. Now, I know that's pie in the sky thinking. We're nowhere near close to that. But if we do get to that one day, then I don't see why that won't be its own little nerd community of making 50 and 100-year-old hardware to play 100-year-old games. I think that's absolutely a niche hobby that will still exist generations from now, assuming our civilization doesn't fall apart completely. So that's my take on these questions. What do you guys think about that?
On your final note, just a small thing, I'll let you speak just after that, Ardent. On a very small note about what you said at the end is, originally, gaming was a niche. It was like an underground thing. And for many people who are younger today, I hate to remind it, but back in the day, we were bullied in school for having a video game console and stuff like that. So, yeah, being a nerd or a geek wasn't a cool, hip thing back in the day.
No, that's very true. No, you said something that caught my attention. You were talking about how when the corporations are out of the console game, that it'll be the hobbyists, the passionate people who keep the consoles existent. What I can see is that after a certain point, when the corporations kind of stop caring about the physical media altogether, that you'll end up seeing hobbyists building consoles that will run anything as long as it's physical media. And that would be, well, you could almost see someone being able to build a console now that would run any visual disc. So,
if I may add as well, there are people out there who are doing things to kind of because certain games cannot be re-released due to various licensing issues. There are people out there, I forget the program it is you could download, but if you have a disk drive of a computer, you just stick in a PS2, GameCube, Dreamcast game, whatever, just stick it in. You have this program read the disc as it's just spinning, and you basically completely download the entire game itself that you could just run on an emulator there and then. Because there's a lot of especially if you have disc-based games, which is something handy, because certain games, there are no GameCube games, they were a nightmare to try and download into this format because of the GameCube disc being how small it is.
Yeah.
And not just that as well, there are people out there who are updating or upgrading classic consoles with modern hardware that you can play on modern TVs. Like I've seen people make quote unquote brand new 4K 60 frames per second N64s, for instance, to run on modern hot TVs and stuff like that.
Making physical disc backups of game consoles is actually one of the oldest tricks in the book. Hey, we've been doing that for over 20 plus years.
Yeah.
It's
not hard. Like you can buy, and it's to the point now to where I can go spend $50 to $100 and buy a dedicated little console that plays like every Atari and old school game that ever existed in a little tiny box. Or you can buy bigger, more expensive ones that are like $500 that literally have thousands of games on them from multiple systems, and it all just runs through one controller and plays on whatever monitor that you plug it into. Like we're already there with that.
Yeah, FPGAs are pretty simple. They're not super powerful, so we're still struggling with matching performance of old consoles. It can cause timing issues, but if you want a 100% accuracy, yes, you can do that. This is what the more recent N64 consoles are actually based on, because FPGA performance has improved to the point that you can make them for consoles like that now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, but that's the thing. It's like recently I came across the fact that a few people have perfected apparently a PlayStation 5 emulator.
Yeah, that's recent news. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I remember as a kid, though, especially in like my early teens, the most recent console you could get a good working emulator working for was a Nintendo DS. Back when I was like an early teen, so you're thinking mid 2000s.
Yeah, emulation's definitely come a long way. Like I even played Demon's Souls on a functional PS3 emulator maybe 3 months ago, just to try it out and see if it worked. It was a little janky, but it worked pretty smooth once I got it going. So like we're there already for at least late aughts, early teens consoles. We'll get there.
And performance is more efficient than a real PS3 because it takes advantage of the fact that it doesn't have the required full commands in the simmed instructions.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
there's actually a sentiment that I've seen going around recently in regards to the ever increasing price of hardware and the lack of the lack of enthusiasm, one might say, in regards to the concept of cloud gaming. And that is just the general idea of, well, I guess I'm being priced out of new hardware and therefore new games. Oh, well, I have literally 1,000 games that I've never played in my Steam catalog. I guess I'll just start working through the backlog.
And you don't need brand new hardware to play them.
Correct.
Exactly.
Even at absurd settings.
Well, not just that, on the hardware stuff. I mean, for anyone who is not aware of why we're going for a RAM shortage, it's because of all the push for bloody cancerous data centers for LLMs. AI units.
That's right.
It's just like,
we know.
We don't care.
It's
I'm just saying, for those who maybe two people listening to this may not aware, that's the real reason. And frankly, sadly, the free market is somewhat letting us down with people not trying to make more RAM. Go overkill in RAM production, because we need more RAM, baby. There's no such thing as too much RAM. We need more.
What is worth bearing in mind? What is worth bearing in mind to what Kizza just said is that RAM production is going up. It's just that every time RAM production gets announced that it's going up, all of that extra production gets immediately bought up by the AI companies.
Yep.
And I'm talking bought in advance. Like before the RAM is made, it is already purchased by the AI companies. This is the most blatant attempt at artificial scarcity that has ever occurred, making the idea of the idea of artificial scarcity is a concept that is usually applied to the diamond industry. What's currently happening with AI companies and their buying up of RAM puts the diamond industry to fucking shame.
Yeah, don't get me started on how fake this whole free market shit is. It's fucking lie.
Not to mention that the three big memory manufacturers were already colluding together to keep other people out of the market. Like, if you know what happened to Lipida, then you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
As well as
I'm just looking forward to this LLM bubble to collapse, because it's fucking trash with it doesn't do what they say it's going to do, nor what they want it to do. And no matter how many billions they throw into it, this ain't going to last forever. And then maybe
they can't even sell it to us.
Yeah,
they don't even sell it to us. Yeah, go ahead.
Some good news on that front. I can't give exact numbers and dates. I can't remember them, but I have heard that back when all of this AI bullshit really started getting going, the likes of Sam Altman and all of the people who were really pushing for all of this AI basically said, right, let us buy up all of the RAM and just let us keep pouring money into this project. And in about 6 to 8 years' time, we will have made all of that money back times 1,000. And apparently, it's now starting to get up to that promised date of reversing the costs and bringing in the profits. And apparently, from what I've heard, the general consensus among the people who invested all of that money is you still haven't turned a single penny of profit, and that promised date is only about 2 years away from now, man.
Yeah,
what the
It's
fuck
not
are you
even 2 years
doing?
away. It's
Yeah, yeah,
2027.
well-
they're
well,
going to run out
it'll
of
be
money.
next year.
Well,
and I
what's
think. Go ahead,
if I
Kizza.
may, sorry, if I may, what's even more comical about this is I do know a few months ago, Microsoft, who was heavily subsidizing OpenAI, pulled out. Now, you think
They-
Microsoft is one of the few companies who have buckets full of cash. They're pulling out subsidies from it. That should tell you how much of a money pit
Yeah,
the likes of OpenAI are.
This LLM push is just like a multi-billion-dollar money hole. Like it's not going to make any money with what they've produced so far.
And that pulling out that money actually caused a cascade reaction because OpenAI had to tell NVIDIA that they had to back out of their offer to buy 40% of their new RAM, which they were already buying, they were already buying from memory manufacturers, which means they've lost that too, and that should and although that should have added more to the market, the other AI companies actually bought it up. So we've got like multiple-headed demon here that we have to slay. We got to get rid of all of them.
Speaking of getting rid of demons, let's get rid of this first dragon because we've been on it for a while now and we have some paid chats to get to. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, or if you're not watching and just listening as a podcast, I don't like to work for free, neither do you. You can contribute some dollary dues to me via Buy Me a Coffee. You can see that is the top option in the donation portion. You can also become a monthly subscriber over on Subscribestar. I would deeply appreciate that. And I'll add your name to the awesome intro graphic by Lomax Designs that you can see at the beginning of all my streams and at the end of all my pre-recorded videos. You can send in hyper chats on Odyssey, rants on Rumble, and you can also send in short messages with support money over on Cash App and PayPal. And we will start over on PayPal because Chris with us today on stream sent $1 over on PayPal to say, here's the usual extortion for the live stream. Thank you or sorry, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. You're so sweet. And then Porkins, thank you for telling me in the chat, Porkins. Porkins is Floella. Over on Buy Me a Coffee, Porkins or Floella sends in 10 British pounds. Thank you very much, Porkins. Porkins says, "Yiz is Emma lovely." Well, thank you very much. Hoyt to you, friend. I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much for that nice donation. And I don't think we have anything else. Let me check the other sites real quick. Don't want to leave anybody out. Sometimes they take a moment to show up. So if I missed you this time, I'll get you after the next dragon. But we are going to move on now. So that was the first dragon of the evening, the green. So let's go back to the topics. We started with games of the future. And now we have Living Fog, Loving Fog from the black, Don't Flock Together from the white, Polish Pool Power from the blue, and Man and Machine from the red. Kizza, you're the party leader. What will be next, sir?
I'm going to let 3 and 12 decide the next dragon.
Well, I'd like to try Man and Machine then.
All right. The red dragon. We go now to Zero Hedge.
What's your bet? This one's about Team Fortress 2.
No, this was actually about war stuff.
I was just gonna go.
Armor, ammunition, and battlefield adaptation. Goldman Sachs analyst Sam Burgess, who covers European defense companies like Airbus, BAE, and several others, held a call with German Lieutenant General Andreas Marlow to provide clients with a greater color on the rapidly evolving modern battlefield. Marlow said in the war in Ukraine, he exposed a slew of weaknesses in conventional armies rather than rendering them obsolete. He said future combat will depend on integrate. 3, can you please mute yourself, honey? Thank you. He said future combat will depend on integrated forces combining armor, infantry, artillery, all categories of drones, air defense, e-war, and long-range strike capabilities. Marlow described how drones and low-cost warfare have created a heavily contested zone stretching 40 to 50 kilometers across the modern battlefield, increasing demand for unmanned systems and counter-drone protection. We have previously described these kill zones as part of the world's AI weapons laboratory, where suicide drones and experimental unmanned systems, some equipped with fully automated kill chains, are the leading causes of death on the front lines. Now, this article is very long, but it's very interesting as far as the particulars. I don't want to get into the particulars on stream because it would take me 20 minutes to go through all this. But what I will do is for those of you who want to read an in-depth article about all of this guy's talking points, I'm putting the link in the chat right now for you to dig through later on your own. It's very interesting, but I just want to talk about the Dragon's question. So we're going to move now to the red for sake of time, which is this bellicose boy here. Ivan in the chat loves the word bellicose. Here's you a good bellicose dragon, Ivan. The red with us tonight is bellicose by even red standards. He loves combat and advanced warfare, so he spends a great deal of time studying the techniques and technologies of war across the cosmos. Earth's humans have a penchant for war technology, so he chose this story tonight to ask us this, and it comes to 3 of 12 first. What do you think the future of warfare will look like? This is a nice follow-up to gaming since it's a similar question. How will humans use advanced technology in pursuit of conquest, defense, and policing?
The answer is almost the same, honestly. It's going to be towards whatever's cheap and effective, the best value. If you can just throw cheap drones at things, that's going to dominate the 21st century. In fact, it's going to dominate more and more. And anybody who is dumb enough to put big, expensive machines in the field is going to lose them to a drone. Unless you specifically design anti-drone warfare, which it's in its early stages, but still, the development of other kinds of drones that continue to be more and more resistant to small arms fire is developing rapidly with the fiber optic drones, drones with multiple weapons, drones with chaff. There's all sorts of different designs out there already. You would have to come up with electronic systems that are designed to target them and deal with the fact that they are either very maneuverable or the fact that they're moving very fast. It's going to require expensive interception systems. I think that putting people on the ground that are just shooting at them with rifles is not the answer. It's going to become the interception technology is probably going to be much more expensive than the drones themselves. And you're going to see that the third world nations are going to be throwing drones at things like they typically throw missiles at each other right now. It's going to be the replacement for that. And you're going to see that the first world countries have interception systems for that. And they're all going to implement them. And it'll end up in the situation, very similar in situations that you see with the short-lived Iranian-Israel exchanges before we had the Iran war. It's going to be a lot like that, where they just throw stuff at each other. It's pretty much meaningless. Well, nobody gets hurt. There might be some collateral damage.
How is the controller situation going to work with this? Because from what I've read about front lines over in Ukraine and Russia shit with the drone crap, is because it's so easy to interfere with command signals, they have to use wired drones, which requires troops to be in harm's way. Do you think that there will be some kind of technology that allows wireless remote control of these things? Or do you think that it will all be on board and it will just be a self-piloted thing that does a particular task that doesn't need a live controller? What do you think?
Well, the current meta for that is the fiber optic drones. They still use a wireless controller, but it's functions over basically a long line of fiber optic that connects directly to the drone. It sends signals over that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that seems to be most likely how that's going to go, because there's no EMI. You can't block it with you obviously can't block it with signal jammer, since it's optical, it just seems like they've solved the problem already. The only problem might be cost. That doesn't seem to be a problem for them, since they throw them at each other no problem.
There is a concerningly realistic prediction that I learned about several years ago that, as I say, is concerningly realistic and possible. So is everybody here familiar with the concept of diffuse computing? That being taking a large selection of individual computers and having them all jacked into the same network and having all of their CPUs effectively coordinated as such to be able to resolve issues in a fashion similar to a large, very, very powerful computer with, albeit slight bits of lag and delay.
Look at Porkins in chat. Give money to Yiz. She has drones to purchase.
I mean, yeah, CPU clusters are a pretty common thing.
Well, I had a feeling that 3 would be familiar with that as a concept. Now, imagine for a moment you have large quantities of drones, each of which has its own very cheap and easy to mass produce CPU on board, but each of them also having the ability to engage in almost impossible to jam short, direct communications with each other, such that you can have a cloud of, say, 100 of these drones linking all of their computing power together in order to facilitate the generation of a singular artificial intelligence guiding the cloud of drones. This is a concept that has been formulated. I learned about it some years ago, and in effect, the result is that you could have a weapons system which consists of a truck, not even a particularly big one, that would fly relatively close would drive to a relatively close over to a given asset or location that you want to take, or just anything of military interest. This truck would have 100 or so of these drones that are all designed to operate in tandem with one another. They would all launch at roughly a simultaneous moment, go to the location, and then just act as a diffuse, impossible to jam, autonomous killing system that would just dominate a given area until they either run out of batteries to maintain airborne or just simply push out whatever opposition may occur. This concept of flying death clouds is something that I consider to be a very distinct and real possibility within the next 10 to 15 years. And in my opinion, the only effective defense against such a weapons platform concept would be a very, very powerful EMP capable of not just temporarily, but permanently frying the electronics on even the smallest drone systems.
Yeah, Kane in chat says you're literally describing his Stellaris strategy.
The only real issue.
That is a concerning Stellaris empire.
That might be possible with the Wi-Fi 7 stuff, but there are issues with power requirements in order to transmit with each other. That has been the main thing in that sort of hardware that is becoming more and more so the power bottleneck, because as you reduce power usage by getting lithography down past the 3 nanometer no man's land, what's becoming the greatest amount of power usage in, say, SoC systems has been both the screens and the wireless tech, and it's why you see battery life on phones hasn't been improving significantly. It's because it's becoming more and more dominant. On hardware like that, in order for that to work well, one, it has to be high quality it has to follow all the new protocols, and it has to have good, robust transmit and receive power. And something that's come along with the competency crisis that's been hitting worldwide is that you see that supplies that are sent to war zones, and South Africa has this big issue. Whenever individuals use jammers for the sake of, say, robbing a bank or something, or breaking into a property, yeah, that's a thing. Is that if they're junk? They burn out after like 20 minutes of use because they are literal junk sold to assholes who are doing nefarious things. You know, you get what you fucking pay for, and you get what you fucking deserve. The world of third world military is often that things do not go as planned, and military grade is not good. Getting that implemented sounds like it'd actually be a lot more expensive, even in the future, than a lot of people would like to pretend. It's because if you have a wireless connection handling that kind of data, that's actually very easy to jam. You would require lots of transmit power. You would be sending lots of data, and even one drop packet can slow things down. Unless it's working absolutely perfectly, there's going to be issues. And also latency is also a thing. And really how that works is that you don't have a lot of local processing going on, especially if you're not using an SoC designed to sit power. You're not performing those calculations locally. You're getting it from a server. You need to have an internet connection. Local AI processing is a thing. You have it on laptops. It requires dedicated NPUs that are efficient at that, or else it's not viable. Maybe 10 years from now they'll have dedicated NPUs for that, but that would mean that power costs for processing might go up. In fact, you might even want to stick a really, really tiny SoC die and the MPU being the bulk of the processing power for the sole sake of reducing power costs. Like, it would have to be really stripped down, maybe. And again, the whole point, and Ben doesn't understand that the whole point of the drones is that they're the cheap side of this. The interception systems are the expensive side. If you're throwing drones at someone, you're already trying to destroy.
I have to agree with Three there that if you're going to have some kind of EMP defense, it has to be very expensive and powerful, because EMP stuff burns out. And if you want to have regular, reliable, you can weather a drone storm type of interference, it would require a lot of energy and a lot of well-calibrated, durable tech that you might even have to move, because it's not like you're going to be able to set these up around the entire border of a big country. They would have to be mobile. You would have to have them on trucks or other drones or vehicles that could quickly get into place to defend positions from drone swarm attacks, if we're talking about this technology like that.
For this to actually work in a real military theater, you'd have to be able to demonstrate that you can actually do this reliably. And then what you would do is what Iran usually does, is that many of its missiles are dummy missiles that have no warhead whatsoever. It forces it means that the interception systems that can only take down about half of them, right?
Yeah,
means that
you would just overwhelm them with cheap dummy drones, hoping
exactly.
that the defenses would eat most of the dummy ones, so your payload could arrive. Yeah.
That would still require that some of them are real in order for them to be a real threat, or otherwise you're just bluffing.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of ridiculous the way it works. The fact that the concept of an Iron Dome is something that exists over in the Middle East right now. The simple fact is, interceptor missiles require a lot of money to manufacture, and they are an effective defense when the thing that you are defending against is the occasional missile, maybe 3 or 4 times a day. If you are receiving hundreds of missiles a day, and they cost literally 1% per missile compared to your interceptors, all of a sudden you run into a war of attrition in which your enemy is able to field literally 1/100th of the price of hardware as what you are. And that requires a ridiculous wealth disparity to maintain, and that is simply not viable.
I think what's more likely for decades going into the future is that you will have third world countries recruiting many pilots to run individual drones and just throw themselves at Israel and then hope they get through the interception system so they can deal collateral damage to a building or a car or something like that. They will basically be sent out there to handle individual targets, which is kind of scary because it kind of makes them as effective as those hypersonic nuclear systems with tiny nuclear warheads. If a drone can get into the window of a government building, imagine the damage it could do.
So there's a problem that is often glossed over whenever issues of modern day warfare are discussed, that I personally think is something that shouldn't be glossed over. All of these high-tech defensive systems and all of these high-tech offensive systems all operate within the logic of using computing to create advanced warfare abilities. However, the problem with electronics is that no matter how hard you try, ultimately, electronics are susceptible to EMPs. Yes, you can shield them against EMPs, but then you can just deploy a stronger EMP. When it comes down to it, it doesn't matter how you do your technology. Eventually, it will get to the point where all you need to do to defend yourself or even defeat any kind of advanced warfare technology is detonate a high altitude nuclear bomb to turn the nuclear energy into pure EMP that would blanket an area and wipe out any kind of computing in the region. At which point, all of a sudden, men with AK-47s is once again the dominant tactic.
Yeah.
And I think that we are ultimately moving in that direction. I think that it's going to get to the point where the only effective strategy for taking an area without the threat of reprisal by infinite drones buzzing around and suicide bombing you is to just say, right, let's do away with all of this bullshit computing, drones buzzing around like a swarm of deadly bees. It pisses me off. Nuke the upper atmosphere. No radiation hits the ground, but EMP the fuck out of everything. Kill all of the computers. Leave the infrastructure and the people there. It might be a bit risky politically, but we're not actually causing any radiation problems.
So
And
some
then all of a
Terminator
sudden-
type shit.
Yeah, all of a sudden you get into the situation where the idea of inflicting a new form of PTSD shell shock hell on soldiers by subjecting them to buzzing death drones, you can get around that absolute horror by literally just turning back the clock of war to the late 1900s.
Well,
I see it as this sounds ridiculous because it is, but we are rapidly approaching the state where nukes are by far the most morally correct option.
Well, I've always liked nuclear technology, both for power and weaponry. I think that it's good. I have no complaints with it, as long as it's used, quote unquote, responsibly.
Yeah, who was the general who said that war should be short, sharp, and brutal, or short and brutal at least? I forget who that
I think that was Patton.
But
I was going to say Patton? It was probably Patton, mostly because Patton seemed to be the most base general to ever exist.
And he was all about the swift strike war doctrine, where you get in, you do the job.
I think you're thinking MacArthur.
Yeah.
Is it MacArthur?
Yes,
Okay,
because he was literally sacked over this.
He was of the same mindset as Patton as well on many things. Yeah. So it could have been MacArthur.
For some reason, I have the impression that it was Schwarzkopf, but I'm fairly sure that's wrong.
No, MacArthur was known for being really reckless when it came to warfare. In a sense that while Patton was very focused, but he also kept a very quick clip, and his forces struggled to keep up with him. Particularly the British, who played conservatively.
Which is ironic, considering it was the British who created Blitzkrieg in the first place.
All right. Anything else on this before we move on?
I just want to say that
drones.
I just want to say that
I haven't said my piece on this.
Go ahead.
Quite frankly, it's no surprise that we're effectively going to go into a sort of drone AI style warfare, because that's been the game all throughout time with the game of war. Back in the old days with the pre-civilization to medieval times, it's always been in physical combat face to face, with the exception being with archery, which was considered the most safe and effective form of combat when it came to the lack of casualties. And then obviously we invented and perfected the gun, which made the long range combat even more effective, along with ballistic missiles and co. And that's been warfare today. So imagine warfare now, when all you need to do is fly machines, let all of machines do all the war fighting for you. It's just a natural evolution of the game. And I know some people here who are big sci-fi fans are worried that the way we're going, in another 20 years or so, we could easily have something along the lines of Terminator-style wars between the major superpowers on this planet. Just a further thought.
Sure. Well, let's go ahead and leave that off there. We have a very generous donation over on Buy Me a Coffee from Corgi. Corgi with us in chat tonight as well. Corgi sends in 50 cockin' dollars. Thank you so much for that. 50 US bucks. And all he says with that 50 bucks is shekels for ye. Well, thank you so much, man. That means a lot. It's a lot of money. Thank you. Thank you kindly. All righty. Let's see. Let's check the other one here. Let me refresh this. All right. Nothing else at the moment. So let's go ahead and bid the bellicose red adieu and bring back the topics for the evening. That was Man and Machine. So that leaves Living Fog, Loving Fog, Polish Pool Power, and Don't Flock Together. Kizza, you're the party leader. What's next?
I'm going to let Ginge take the reins for this one.
Ginger, balls in your court, sir. What's next?
I mentioned that there was a topic that I suspected I would know some stuff about, and I'm going to pick it. Living Fog, Loving Fog.
Okay. You think you know what this is, huh? Well, we'll see. See if you do.
I have a suspicion.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. There's the fog one. All right.
I believe we can hear Kizza heavily breathing into the mic.
Yeah, Kizza, mute yourself. We can hear you breathing, buddy.
Someone is very eager in their microphone.
It's because Kizza wears a headset mic, and it's right beside his face. That's why. He's not like a heavy breather. It's just that's where his mic sits. Fog is teeming with life, and it may be doing us a surprising favor. Researchers at Arizona State University and Susquehanna University have found that bacteria are living and growing inside droplets of water in fog at concentrations comparable to seawater. While it does mean fog isn't as sterile as it may seem, those microbes are at least earning their keep. They've been found to break down pollutants in the air. From ground level sneezes to the highest of clouds, it's long been known that bacteria are floating around in the atmosphere in decent numbers. But it's less clear whether these microbes are actively living in the airborne environments or just passing through. Fittingly, fog is even more mysterious. Here's a quote from some kind of Chinese gibberish I won't try to pronounce. There's limited knowledge about what kinds of bacteria are present in fogs, which are like clouds at ground level. Yeah, thanks, Chink. I needed you to explain to me what a fucking fog is. To investigate, the researchers on the new study collected air samples before, during, and after fog events on 32 different occasions over a 2-year period. To control for wind blowing everything around and messing with readings, the team specifically examined radiation fog, a type that forms in calm, still air overnight. And sure enough, a sizable microbiome was detected in the chilly morning air. Bacteria were present in less than 1% of fog droplets. That doesn't sound like much, but it averages around 1,016 RNA gene copies, a common marker for estimating bacterial abundance per milliliter of water. When you take all of the droplets together, the concentration of bacteria is the same as it is in the ocean, says Ferran Garcia Pichel, a microbiologist at ASU. To answer the question of which bacteria are present, the team conducted genetic analyses. This revealed that those in the Methylobacterium genus dominated the picture, and they weren't inert either. If they are growing, then the droplets are a habitat. That's a mindset change, he said. In a subsample of 6 fog events, the team found that even after the fog cleared, the air contained around 45% more bacteria than at the same location before the fog settled in. That suggests that something about the foggy atmosphere is actively culturing bacteria. We observe them under the microscope to see that, yes, the bacteria are getting bigger and they're dividing, so there is growth. Methylobacteria are known to eat volatile carbon compounds such as formaldehyde. So the team suspected that this might be the source of their growth. To check, the researchers incubated samples of fog water and measured how those levels of compounds change over time. Unsurprisingly, the levels dropped. But what was surprising was the speed at which the compound was consumed. Existing formaldehyde at the start of the incubation was swiftly consumed to undetectable levels, roughly 200-fold faster than rates of measured elsewhere in cloud water. That's much too fast to purely be a source of food, the team says. Instead, it's probably for detoxification purposes as well, since high levels of formaldehyde can be toxic to bacteria. The good news is that these compounds are pollutants for us too, meaning that the aerial microbiome may have a cleansing effect. Exactly how beneficial this is in the real world will require more research. Making a pun, Garcia Pichel said, "The sky's the limit." So I found that very interesting and wanted to talk about it tonight. So let's move now to the Black Dragon. The Black with us tonight is used to others fearing him due to the quite true stereotype of black dragons being nasty to everyone. But he and his clan adapted to empirical life long ago with the lesser creatures. Since then, they have sculpted a continent of humans they rule into a powerhouse of civilization. A large part of a large part of that was what we might call terraforming, where both the human and elf worked alongside dragons to use biology and ecology technology supported by magic to make a huge continent into a beautiful place for agriculture and civilization. So that's why he chose this story tonight, to ask us this. Do you think biological technology will eventually prove to be superior to cybernetic technology? What future do you see for biological technology for the humans of Earth?
Well, first of all, I will say that the concept of the living fog is, in fact, something that I'm already familiar with. So I was right about that. In regards to the concept of biological technology, though, I personally don't really see.
Now, let me stop you. Let me stop you, Ginger. I don't mean infested in warframes. When I say biological technology, when I say biotechnology, what I mean is instead of creating like big metallic scrubbers and stuff, we simply cultivate bacteria and use fog banks to help deal with pollution. That is a biological technology. Being more in tune with like nature and using the existing things, bacteria, microorganisms, fish, animals, organs, things like that to use for technological ends. That's what I mean. Not like having, biotech like in sci-fi or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. That's
we are the Borgs.
What you just described is exactly within line with what I was already envisioning.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make that clear for you and the audience.
What I do want to say, though, is that from my own personal perspective, I don't really see much of a distinction between cybernetic and biological technology, given that given the sheer amount of integration that there already is between what you would call biological technology and the medical technology field. Basically, any example where you want to, on a wide scale, convert one substance into another substance, in pretty much all examples, the most efficient way to do that is to employ some kind of microbe to do that job for you. This is the case in pretty much every single drug that exists. pretty much the life expectancy of any given artificial drug is it is first synthesized in the lab, it then goes through trials, and then before it gets to the point of being able to be mass produced, we figure out if there is a way we can make a microbe mass produce it for us. If yes, do it that way. That is the lifespan of pretty much any kind of medical medical drug that exists in the world.
And then Fauci supports gain of function research to kill more white people. That's how the story goes.
Exactly. But
anyway, go on.
There's all kinds of things for which what we are referring to biological technology exists here, and the way I see it, it's kind of an inevitability that the utilization of viruses and bacteria is just going to be standard. There are certain things that cybernetic, well, shall we say, metal technology can do that the DNA-based technology can't, and vice versa. One will never really dominate the other, I suppose, as a way of saying it. In terms of the future for biological technology for humans on Earth, there is one particular use case that I could see for that I'm very much looking forward to seeing implemented should it ever come about. Something that some of you may know about me is that I have a particular dislike for plastic, especially plastic trash in water, in the ground, in any kind of environment. I severely dislike seeing plastic, and apparently so does nature. There is a wide variety of bacterial growths that have come about in recent years over in the great garbage patches of the various ocean currents in the world. And when sampling the waters in these areas, it has been found that there are plentiful supplies of bacterial growths, new species that have come into existence, whose primary food source is metabolizing the hydrocarbons that make up plastics and turning them into energy and carbon dioxide, literally eating the plastic in a similar way to how a human would digest a stick of butter, for example, which I find to be just utterly wonderful news. And I'm firmly on team eating the plastic bacteria.
Yeah.
And wish them the greatest of fortune in the future. But
I also hate plastic, by the way. I'm with you on that.
Yes, but when it comes down to it, though, biological technology tends to work pretty great, so long as you keep viruses out of it. Viruses, no, none of that. Nasty, evil, keep it away. Whenever you start messing around with viruses, that's when you start getting into the realm of non-consensually changing DNA sequences, and that's how you get bad things.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of viral stuff either. Like that's once you start dealing with injecting DNA and messing with DNA, that sounds a bit too risky to me. But I do like biological technology because of course, you guys know how I love nature. My favorite D&D class is Druid. Like the future that I envision, like as close to an ideal future as I let myself hope for, is one where we live more in tune with nature. We don't give up on technology. We don't eschew it, but we live in harmony with creatures and bacteria and fish and animals and stuff. And we create a sort of higher-minded society with using all of our assembled knowledge and experience for centuries and centuries. The white man creates his own way of living that is both high-tech and low-tech at the same time. Sort of like how sometimes in sci-fi you'll meet these people that, like, they seem like they just live in a forest village, but they're actually really highly advanced and know everything in the universe, that type of shit. Like that is my ideal white man's civilization to live in.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always considered the people of Earth, and okay, hang on, let me say that again. I've always considered the civilized people of Earth to have the primary role of custodian on this planet.
Well, I mean, that's what the white man's burden is. Like we
Yes.
feel that where others don't.
We are the only people whose God calls us to take care of his own creation.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, this only seems to apply to certain cultures. And from
Yep.
what I can
Planet
tell, those
Earth was
certain
promised
cultures-
to us 25,000 years ago.
Yeah.
from
Hey,
everything that
that's
I've
a
been
good
able
word,
to tell
Ben.
so far.
Solar punk. I like that. That's cool.
Is that a
Like
Star
that.
Wars reference?
Hang on. Solar punk sounds like those people who tan their taints.
No, solar punk are
Why?
those like liberals that think that like you can solve every problem with unlimited solar.
Yeah,
Oh,
solar punk.
I wasn't thinking along
That's
that
not
way.
going to work.
Yeah.
Solar
Why'd you
punk
have to
is-
shit on it, 3? Why'd you have to shit on that? I liked it for a minute.
Think of solar punk as being like the Star Trek idealized version of solar panels, and you're 90% of the way there. The primary issue with solar punk is that the idealized version of solar punk incorporates nuclear power. Solar punk typically just says, "Nah, we don't need nuclear power. We've already got a big nuclear reactor. It's called the sun. Get away from us with your dirty radiation."
Now, if we're
Fucking
gonna make a
morons.
Dyson sphere, I'm on board with that shit. Let's do it. We can
Dyson sphere for sure.
Stellaris for real. But anyway, let's hear from
Dyson's-
some other people.
I
Me
want
and you-
big boom.
Yeah, me too. Ginger, me and you have talked a lot. Let's let somebody else tackle this. Who wants to take this next?
Absolutely.
I'll have a crack at it.
Sure.
The whole bacterial. I'm going to call it bacterial technology just to differentiate, because I think of a
Okay.
dog as biological technology. You know, the bork bork nom nom fur missile sort of technology. But the thing with the bacterial technology, fog doesn't exist everywhere. So I don't know that, for example, and I absolutely share Ginger's despisal of many things plastic, especially when they're in places they shouldn't be. So yeah, the idea that you can have and it's been talked about in the chat, that you'd have a bacteria in fog that can break down plastic particles. It sounds like a great idea until you realize how many things we require to be made of plastic to keep us alive.
No, I get that. I get that. I hear that.
And I mean, I come from the foggiest place on Earth, so this is something that kind of catches my attention whenever it's brought up. We have an unbelievable amount of plastic garbage in our waters and on our roadways, especially because, well, people are just lazy pricks. But you know, it would be great if there was a way that you could safely guarantee that only certain types of plastic would be broken down. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, the sort of future thinking that I have tends to run towards the cynical. Maybe it's my 80s and 90s upbringing, but even, well,
Thank you,
I mean,
Ben. You saved it. You saved it. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. 3 of 12 snatched it from me, but you brought it right back. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that.
yeah, the idea of technology and nature in harmony, that's good, because I tend to think of solar and wind power as absolute blights on the landscape, because I've seen some of those facilities up close.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I have no problem with it on buildings, especially
Yeah.
if they
Like
find
solar-
a better way of mounting them.
Solar power, like for example, when I lived out in Albuquerque, using solar panels on a domicile or a business building to supplement other types of power with with having built-in capacitors in the walls of the home or the building, that kind of solar is good. But thinking that you could just have massive solar fields to do a city's power, Same with these giant wind fields of these turbines. No way. That's a blight. It's terrible. It doesn't work. They break easy. It's a money pit. It's not good.
I think that every single car park in the entirety of the Western Hemisphere should have a roof, and that roof should be made of solar panels.
Yep, that's a good idea. There's nothing wrong with that.
My only issue with that is that it makes it very difficult. If it's not installed correctly, then it can fuck up your roof. They need to sort of work on the systems for mounting on rails that is a bit more roof friendly, especially more specifically understanding what roofs are compatible. There needs to be some work done on that front, but otherwise, yeah, it seems viable, and the policies need to improve on that in the United States, because at the moment it's mostly just racketeering. The ROIs on that are ridiculous. It doesn't pay off until a few years before they stop working entirely. So the Netherlands seems to have figured it out. You can literally just pump your power into the grid and they pay you. In fact, it's for most people it's been profitable, especially if you have like a houseboat where you don't need much power to start with.
Yeah, and
it seems to be very
in
efficient.
Albuquerque we got an annual refund based on how much power we generated, because they do let you feed into the local power grid with your solar, and if you hit a certain threshold for supplementing your own power, you get a discount on your power grid costs for the next year, just to incentivize people to do that to help. So that I thought that was pretty cool.
If power costs are high, it might make more sense.
In a place like Albuquerque. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ginger.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say there is one other use case of solar panels that a lot of people often forget. Solar panels are really, really good at making hot water. No electronics needed.
Yeah, that's true. There was one of those Discovery shows where it's two guys and one of the guys is barefoot. He has an off-the-grid house where he uses. He doesn't have a regular solar panel. Like he has actually a heat array that he uses to heat his water. So he pays nothing for his hot water.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep,
that's good. That's a good setup.
If I was to ever attempt, if I ever have the incredible fortune of owning a house, I intend to fit it with solar panels, and I intend to have those solar panels be my source of hot water.
Because that would be cool.
That's just super easy, and without electronics, you don't run into the issue of like batteries exploding and things of that nature.
Yeah. If you don't mind me diverting the conversation a bit, Christopher, you are an author. You have a brilliant mind for creating entire worlds and people and cultures and stuff. If you were to think about what a future vision of a humanity that works with biological technology would look like, what are some interesting and cool ideas that come to mind in your head?
It's a bit difficult to answer because we talk about regarding with the fog story, something which manipulate climate or something, or weather. Am I correct? Or do you go in a much broader direction?
Whatever you want. Whatever you want. It's
okay.
Just go whichever direction you want. I just want to hear you ruminate on the topic and see what comes out. Because you're a very creative guy. I'd like to see what you can envision about the future. Just one way or the other.
It doesn't work like that. It's like I have an idea. Oh yes, I have one. And so far in my books, I didn't do much about biological, but I made. It's a bit of an horror story, but basically I made. I made a human, well, something like that, demon birther, basically. So it's a female human with alchemical means, can birth multiple demon creature, and she basically dries to a husk and she's thrown away, and she used as food, and there go the cycle. Use the food to nourish the woman, will infect them, and blah blah blah. Cool. So it's more about alchemical mean than actual technology. I didn't go that far in the technology side of thing, but hearing you all speak about the fog and the way it can use to cure disease and all, I basically thought about the floods of Halo.
Yeah.
So it can be used something like that if we go to the weather medicine thing, or at least affecting what the flood came in contact with. The basic principle of the flood, for those who don't know, is that it corrupts something, and there goes the cycle of the hive mind of the floods. It's a bit more intricate and deep than that, but that's basically it. And you cannot beat it because it's respawn endlessly.
Okay.
So if you do something like that with something like a cleaning system, if you use the sea, the ocean, what's the name of the thing? The air current that go to the cliff and can basically make someone fly if you jump.
Yeah.
You can use like this for a weather protection device, basically, with the magical fog. That's what I came with in 5 minutes.
Okay.
You
Thank
create
you.
you
Thank you.
create like heated updrafts with it.
Yeah, I can see that. Like this is why I like talking about new technologies and what could be in the future. All that stuff's really interesting to me. It's why I love science fiction and fantasy stuff, is thinking about different ways of living that can use, in fantasy it's magic, but like thinking about how we could utilize our understanding of all the different things that we've started learning about the last couple hundred years, microbes and wind and weather patterns and how things affect other things. And I think that in an ideal white man society, you would actually be more in tune with nature than we were in the past, because we understand more about it and we should be part of it and use it in our technologies, our cities, our way of life, our society. And so that's the positive future that I envision for us, not ones where we live in big soulless metal and steel and plastic buildings. So, like, to me, that's hell. That's not a future that I want.
I have just thought of of one particularly perhaps a bit gross use case for I'll use Ardent's phraseology and call it bacterial technology. So obviously there are vast quantities of people on this planet. Some would argue too many, others would argue not enough. But an unfortunate side effect of people is that you tend to get vast quantities of feces when you have vast quantities of people.
Indeed.
Now, feces are, fun fact, wants food. However, the wants food still has chemical energy locked away in it, which is the reason why when that feces is allowed to go through the natural process of breaking down, it produces combustible gases in the form of methane. I can honestly foresee a future in which all human waste is effectively gathered together and effectively stored in gigantic digestion chambers located under any and all urban centers that would be used for the express purpose of generating not only incredible amounts of warmth, because the act of digesting feces by the act of bacteria going in and digesting human feces produces a lot of warmth in a similar fashion to the warmth generated by a compost pile. That's the word. This heat could then be used for the purposes of warming the city during cold days, or being dissipated out into the wider environment during excessively warm days, or being used to generate electricity, for example, and any other sorts of things. The idea of being able to use bacterial technologies to make incredibly and surprisingly efficient use of the byproduct of the vast quantity of people that exist on this earth is something that I can definitely foresee happening in a more idealized version of the future.
I think so too. I can see it too. Well, for sake of time, let's go ahead and move to paid chats and move on, because we have other dragons to get to. Over on Buy Me a Coffee, we have M, which I assume is Dead M again, in with $25. Thank you very much. That's very generous. And he says, enjoying the alternate topics, even if it's only a one-off. Good stream tonight. Well, thank you very much, M. I'm greatly enjoying this as well. So I'm not completely abandoning politics as a topic, but I would like to talk about this kind of stuff more often than I have been, because politics and culture war stuff does interest me, and I like talking about what's going on. But I also like other stuff like this too, and it's also more positive to talk about instead of just the same old grind all the time. All right. And I'm not seeing any other paid chats anywhere. So let's go ahead and move on. All right. Where's the topics? Goodbye, beautiful black dragon. Back to the topics here. All right. We have 3 left. I'm sorry, 2 left. We have Polish pool power and Don't Flock Together. Kizza, would you like to choose the... we're only going to do one more dragon for sake of time since we talked a whole lot on the first 2. So the last dragon of the night will be decided by who, Kizza?
That's your cue.
Kizza?
Sorry, I muted myself there. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Sorry, I didn't really have much to say to the last topic. Since this is going to be the last dragon, I'll pick it, and
okay.
We'll do Polish pool power, the blue.
Okay.
Okie doke.
All
I
right.
wonder if the pool will be closed this time.
Pool's closed due to AIDS.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I will be 12 years old forever, and pools closed due to AIDS is never going to stop being funny for the rest of my life. I will continue to laugh at it.
Correct.
Like the fart joke never gets old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do this here. This is a good white excellence topic. Pole becomes first person to swim 160-kilometer Baltic Sea between Sweden and Poland in a single go.
Damn.
Bartłomiej Kubkowski, I hope I didn't slaughter that name too badly on the pronunciation, has become the first person in history to swim across the Baltic Sea between Sweden and Poland, covering a distance of around 100 miles. On Sunday evening, an exhausted Kubkowski clambered onto the beach in the town of, well, I'm not even going to try to say that, Poland's northern Baltic coast around 56 hours after he set off from Kassaberga in Sweden on Friday. So he swam the entire weekend without sleeping and without touching his support boat. The achievement marks a personal triumph for the man, for whom this was his 5th attempt to complete this route. His effort this year has raised over 166,000 euros for child's cancer treatment so far, with donations for his fundraiser still coming in. During the crossing, he was unable to sleep, and although a support boat did accompany him to provide him food and drink, he was not allowed to touch the vessel itself. His journey of around 100 miles, 160 km, was not far off of the longest ever continuous unassisted open water swim ratified by the Marathon Swimmers Federation, which was the 168-kilometer swim by American Sarah Thomas in 2017 in Lake Champlain. Kubkowski has been attempting to swim the route between Sweden and Poland since 2022, getting closer in achievement every time. Let's see. We can go ahead and leave this off here. And I want to show you, there is video of him when he came out at the very end. And I want you guys to see just how haggard and exhausted he was. Check this out. No sleep. I can't imagine.
Wow. He just fell over, yeah.
I can't imagine how exhausted I would be after that. Oh my God. I would just die and drown. Good God. Now that's interesting. Anyway.
I have high bone density, so I sink like a fucking rock. I would have no chance of that.
you wouldn't be too bad, actually, Ginge.
There we go.
I'm surprisingly actually suited for that. I have low bone density.
The blue with us tonight is a sea worm whose clan keeps a pair of oceans and their coasts safe from dangers. And the humans and elves of his world enjoy a robust shipping trade because of that. He chose this story tonight to ask us about human life in the sea. Kizza, this comes to you first. Do you think humans will one day live in the oceans and seas of our world, perhaps even under the waves? What do you think that would entail or look like in the future?
Okay, so are we going to live in the sea? I would say no for multiple reasons. One, the infrastructure aspects of trying to live underwater is frankly ridiculous. It's just as ridiculous as it is trying to live on separate planets or even on the moon. And sure, some like underwater bases like you saw in games like BioShock or films like in The Spy Who Loved Me with was it Stromberg, the villain in The Spy Who Loved Me. Forgive me, it's been a while since I watched it. Who had an underground city. It's way too expensive in terms of infrastructure, especially in underwater. We have to worry about the vitamin D deficiency problems you'll have being underwater, because the sea, if you go down deep enough, it literally blocks the sun's rays cannot reach. Which is the second problem. We all know what happens when you have vitamin D deficiency to our immune system, don't we, ladies and gentlemen? And also, quite frankly,
yes.
Exactly, and also speaking of light, if you go beyond a certain depth, it is pitch black and you can't see jack. So
Well, depending on the
and
jack,
also,
that might be a good thing.
very true, very true. That's an inside joke for anyone listening. But
no.
But yeah, so and also me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of seafood, so I might be in the minority when it comes to this panel on seafood, but that's my take.
You are a disgrace to your people not liking fish and chips.
I said seafood, not cod. Big difference.
Fair point.
I'm on a seafood diet. When I see it, I eat it.
Yeah, same.
That makes two of us.
Look, I eat one kind of seafood, and that is fish that is swam in two different liquids. Once in water and another in oil.
I love beer battered fish and chips. It's delicious.
It's excellent.
Even with a
Actually, had that yesterday.
Even cheaper fishes are off.
Oh, you had that?
Awesome.
So did I. That's what I ate for lunch yesterday.
Like fried flounder and rockfish are also amazing.
Not lunch, dinner. Excuse me. Dinner yesterday.
But I have a broad appeal of seafood too. So yeah, I guess that might make more sense for me. I've always thought that my bloodline had a destiny of living on a colony somewhere.
I hear you. American spirit and all that.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to answering the dragon's question, I come to a very similar conclusion to Kizza. The logistics of trying to live underwater are simply hellish and are directly comparable to the logistics of trying to live on, for example, Mars.
Yeah.
But there is one circumstance in which I can envision something that I suppose you could potentially call humans living underwater, and that is if you were able to genetically engineer an intelligent form of life that was capable of breathing water. And trust me, that is not particularly easy. There's only so much oxygen that can be diffused into water, and if you get in order to be able to run an intelligent mind, you need to have a large quantity of oxygen available to said brain. And trying to achieve high intelligence whilst living in the water means that you have to make certain sacrifices. There's a reason why the most intelligent thing to ever come out of the ocean is an octopus.
Yeah, there's also a thing to keep in mind. I didn't necessarily mean developing an aquatic human form to like live in the water, because you can't have heat and electricity and forges and things like that. You can only do so much in the water. Like there's very little you can do technologically after a certain point if you're surrounded by water all the time.
Yeah, Subnautica has a good peek into that kind of technology, but even that's pretty limited. you have to do a lot of the stuff inside the domicile, so to speak, eventually. Like the limits being stuff like having a heated blade that instantly cooks anything you kill with it.
Yeah, that's that.
Okay,
that entire
I have to
concept
pause
is
the
entirely
chat because
ridiculous.
Ardent Party made a Dungeons and Dragons reference. Sahuagin maxing. Sahuagin. Sahuagin maxing. Very good. I will pull up a picture of the Sahuagin because I have used these.
They are very pretty.
These fish people before in D&D games.
Depends on what illustration you have of them.
Yeah, some of the illustrations are pretty, some are nasty. It depends.
Really, they changed the
let
way
me
they
find.
look?
Let me find a
shame.
good one here. Let's
Should be
see.
monstrous.
But just when it comes to the concept of living underwater, the two general schools of such the concept can be described as living in the water and creating land that just so happens to have water over it. In the first example, you run into issues of water being a very effective means of chilling you to the bone. You run into issues of water plus anything made of metal not getting along very well. And as previously stated, you also have the issue of intelligent brains require a lot of oxygen, and there's only so much oxygen you can get into a biological organism via the medium of water. When it comes to the issue of having a land-like habitat with water on top of it, like, for example, a stationary submarine, the primary issue there is that you are going to be at the perpetual risk of leaks. That water is constantly trying to get in, the air is constantly trying to get out. And as soon as the water gets in, everybody dies. Something that I have spoken about fairly regularly is the concept of producing a colony on the planet of Venus, which would be the concept of which is largely reliant on the fact that if you go to the upper atmosphere of Venus, where the atmospheric pressure has been reduced to roughly equivalent to that of Earth's sea level, you could have floating habitats in which, if there was a puncture in the outer seal of such a habitat, the very nature of it being at equivalent atmospheric pressure would mean that the atmosphere of Venus and the atmosphere of the interior habitat wouldn't have much in the way of incentive to exchange with one another. So it would be a relatively non-urgent affair to patch any holes.
Yeah.
In the event of patching a hole in an underwater environment, due to the way in which water pressure works, one tiny little hole is going to try and evacuate all of the air out of your environment, and that's never a good thing.
Yeah, the answer to that would be that at all times people would have to be wearing essentially equipment for them to have a rebreather, because the likelihood is high. And I think for a long time you would be stuck with really small domiciles that can only handle 2 or 3 or a handful of people, very much like a space station ISS situation, where they'd all have to be highly competent and experienced professionals that know exactly what they're doing and are prepared for this possibility to happen at any moment.
Exactly. It would be roughly equivalent to living in a series of stationary submarines.
Well, it doesn't. Okay, we don't have to keep talking about underwater. There's a lot you can do on the surface of the water in the oceans. What do you guys think about that? And some of you haven't said much on this topic yet. Feel free to step up if you have things to say.
Well, I come from a seafaring people, so I will speak probably at some length about this. Newfoundlanders are bound to the ocean in ways that a lot of cultures aren't, because we were so isolated for so long. One of the things I can see, like you're talking about, like futurizing, a floating colony that chases the sun and therefore constantly has a source of solar power could also be driven, possibly powered by wind, or even its own movements that sort of idea isn't necessarily a bad idea. After all, we could just plant that right over the top of the Pacific garbage gyre and clean that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason to really believe that we couldn't survive as a completely seafaring people. There's at least one theorized civilization that was basically an entirely seafaring people that we know of in ancient history. What do I think it would entail? Well, it's going to entail a level of cooperation that, to date, I would say only 2 or 3 peoples on the planet are capable of. One of them, of course, being Europeans, the other being Far Asians. Yeah, that's sort of. Was it 3 who was talking about? No, I believe it was Ginger mentioned the pod or International Space Station based.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah,
That was
living
her.
situation. You could do something like that as well to begin, where you have interconnected rafts in a sense. Uh, I'm going to mention it because it's probably in some people's minds. Waterworld.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no, not
I'm a
Waterworld.
weirdo. I actually really enjoyed that movie. And
I enjoyed
Never seen it.
a few things in it, but it was mostly a lame duck of a movie. I didn't really like it.
well, yeah, fair, yeah. The whole look at what we did to the planet angle thing, that's irksome.
Yeah.
But the
Sea Lab 2021. We're all retards on a retarded
Hey,
raft.
Pod 6 is jerks.
we're left with
Howlin' Mad Murphy. Oh! Don't get me started on Sea Lab. We'll be here all night. I love Sea Lab.
Good
I have the
lord.
full rip of that. I still listen to it sometimes.
we're kind of left with one of 2 options. Either we adapt the environment to us, or we adapt to the environment. Now, in Waterworld, obviously, most people weren't adapting to the environment very well, but you did have the one ichthyosapien, or at least one. There may have been others, we don't know, and we'll probably never know because I'm sure they're never making a sequel to that movie, much as I really kind of wish they would. But then the other option is that we adapt the environment to us. And we know how to build cofferdams and things of that nature. So we could quite conceivably build something that could be tethered to the ocean floor. Like I'm thinking in terms of drilling rigs and things like that. We could either tether it to the ocean floor, leave it roaming with minimal motors, if that would even be necessary. Like I said, I mentioned the Pacific Gyre, where you could have an entire colony that just basically kind of just moves as the currents do and never really relocates all that far.
So,
Ardent,
Ardent,
go ahead. Sorry, kind of lost the thread of what I was saying.
Okay. Anybody else want to talk about this topic before we wrap up?
the idea of what Ardent is saying about having what is effectively a self-sufficient sea-based colony largely does make sense from a logistical point of view, but rapidly comes into question when you factor in the way that seawater has of breaking things down.
Mm-hmm.
All things that exist in the ocean exist in one of 2 states. Either it is alive or it is rapidly breaking down and turning into base materials. Seawater has this delightful ability to turn anything into nothing of substance. Any kind of metal that you try to make, it will get eaten away by that seawater. If you try to make it out of plastic, that plastic will get digested and brittle in the UV sunlight. Even the nature of trying to create things out of ceramics, well, ceramics might live for a plenty long time. Hell, only a few days ago, they found yet another ancient Greek shipwreck filled with over 600 olive oil amphors. That thing has lasted for thousands of years at the bottom of the sea. The idea of trying to make ceramics float has been an issue that humanity has been trying quite fruitlessly to fight against for thousands of years at this point. The idea of trying to create a floating colony on the surface of the ocean basically runs into the issue of how do you keep it floating?
You put it on the back of a giant turtle, of course. That's where the biological technology comes in.
Well, that would actually be a viable
Come on,
solution,
Magic
believe
Turtle,
it or
bro.
not.
We're going to go
Because-
places. Come on.
In
Turtles all the way
Subnautica,
down, don't you know?
in Subnautica, there's a bunch of islands with these sort of organisms that hold on to oxygen, and they're attached like barnacles to the bottom of rocks, and they keep the whole thing floating.
Is that worth playing? I've had that on my Steam list for a million years.
Absolutely.
Is it
The
good?
first one,
You not
yes. The
touched it.
second, no.
The second still has good gameplay, but the plot is woke.
Okay. So it's
And you cannot
I should
kill
actually
shit.
fire up and play the first one because I
Yeah.
only played it for like 10 minutes and then I never went back to it. Is it
Oh
actually
god,
worth
you
my
can
time?
put months into it. And I played it in VR. It's amazing.
Sweet, sounds good. All right. So, anything else on ocean topic, or shall we wrap up? Because I am ready to look at some memes and get out of here.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Before we do, we have a $1 in from Miss Violence's Life in chat. She sends in $1 over on Cash App to send me a white heart and say, Dargans. Yes, indeed, my dear. Dargans tonight. It is Dargan Monday. All right. Let's see. I want to refresh all the sites. Make sure we haven't left anybody out here. Nothing new on PayPal. Nothing new there. No hyper chats. No rants. And refresh, buy me a coffee again. Thank you very much to all of you lovelies who supported financially already. And I will check again before we get out of here tonight. So, as promised, it is treasure time. Now, I have 3 video funnies for us before we go to the memes. And 2 of these, I think Ginger has already seen because he gave me one of them. So we'll start with this cute one here. Give me just a second to fire it up. There we go. Let me pipe it in. All right. This one here is hilarious. Check this out. Feeding my vegan sister's baby barbecue ribs. Now look at this baby's face for the first time that it has meat. Watch this.
Yeah. I don't get it. That's how I react every time I have meat.
That face is priceless.
That was me who
I-
sent it.
Oh,
God,
that was
really,
you. That was you who sent that. Okay.
I need
I
some
knew one
ribs.
of you guys sent that to me. Yeah.
I really feel
Forgive
like
my
that's
memory. People send me
probably
stuff all
AI.
the time.
That's not
I
AI.
really feel like look at the way the camera moves.
Are you sure? I don't care. Let's move on. I don't want to talk about it. I hate AI.
Okay.
Let's move on. This.
You guys are paranoid.
Wait. Is that the wrong one? No, here we go. This is funny.
Oh,
Christopher, I know
exactly
Christopher
what this
sent me
is.
this one.
Oh no. What is this?
Apparently in Halo, I find this funny that
What
you
the?
can shoot and kill people who are men, but not people who are women.
Oh,
I've
dirty.
seen that. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's. We're still not sure if that's men. Or, it's just that women are, because you can kill all the other women.
What I think is funny is the comment here. It's funny that let's see, where's the good comment? Oh, please don't say the comment's gone. It might be gone.
If it was a good one, it might be under most liked if you click that above at the beginning of the thread.
Well, the comment was simple. It just says it's funny that in the name of feminism, they made women objects instead of people. That's all it said. I thought that was pretty good.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Because somebody looked in the game code or something and said the female officers here, they interact when you shoot them just like an item would, like an object in the world instead of
God.
a person. And so I thought that was really funny.
Oh, they
All right.
they probably did it just for them.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. Now the last thing here, I forget which one of you lovely shared this with me. It might have been Christopher. I don't remember. But I want you to see what happens at a construction site when a fat black lady decides.
Yes, it's me again.
no.
Okay. All right.
Oh God, I know this one.
Now
this is gonna end.
this I have watched this 7 or 8 times already and got all the laughs out of my system. So you guys enjoy this. Here we go.
Gonna shit or something?
No, just that weird, possibly hopeless black idiot who should pollute our cities.
You get off my machine! Yo! Can you get off my machine?
Oh, she's sitting on the floor of it. Okay.
Yeah, she's on the bucket. Yeah.
Oh,
I think I know where this is going. I know how evil I do in this situation.
can you get off my machine? Huh? Oh,
Snap now, is she?
oh my God! Holy fucking truck! Well, you're stuck now. Oh. Nope. Nope.
I'm not touching you.
Nope. Nope. Yo.
No, you're not.
No, fuck you, pregnant.
That's fat.
Like a child, like an idiot child.
Does she sound African to you, or am I just receiving things?
No, she sounds black.
She sounds retarded. So yes.
When
All
she
right.
lifts her legs and she say, "I'm pregnant."
I like how the guy immediately just says,
Sure you
"No,
are.
you're not. No, you're not."
Nope.
All right. We have some memes to look at, and I have some winners for us tonight. So let's go ahead and get the memes ready over here. All right, let's go to this. We did not get to the flock topic, but we covered flock a week or so ago. So here's a fun one, courtesy Ginger. What's up, tweakers? I'm Flocky. I'm hiding 2 grams of gold and 2 pounds of copper and up to 30 pounds of aluminum. That's like $400 in scrap value alone. Well,
Not
thanks,
counting
Flocky.
resale for
That's good to
components.
know. Next, the older I get, the heller I nah. I like this. This one spoke to me. This spoke to me on a deep personal level. Next, we have the Strait of Hormuz closed for war on Saturday and Sunday, open 9 to 4 the rest of the week. This one's pretty good. It's a visual meme. You have to look at it. But I like this one with Rubio and JD Vance here.
Good
I'll give this a
Lord.
minute to sink in for those of you who want to
Why
look at
can't we
it.
have both?
What'd you say, Ardent? Say again?
I said, why can't we have both?
I know, right? All right, let's move on. We have Microsoft H1B, Google H1B. Microsoft layoff, Google layoff. We all know it's true.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
This
This is my favorite cat dog.
Indian
this was cool.
nepotism. Dang.
I think.
Oh my
this is-
God.
Isn't that
I
great?
posted that in my server a few about a week ago, I think.
Yes, I got that from Ginger's gaming server. This is in his Wholesome Fuzzers channel.
Yes. It's a
Next.
wonderful place.
Ariana Grande reminded me of the first
my
villain from
God.
Sailor Moon.
Couldn't we get Ariana Grande? Is she free to play me, Skeletor?
Can we get that woman a cheeseburger, please?
Please.
No,
God, poor woman.
She just needs to go away.
Well, apparently
I like
she's
this
actually
one.
taking time off. So
Explain
I
a
don't know.
film plot badly. Okay, let's do Wizard of Oz. American invades foreign land, kills leadership, and struggles to find exit strategy. This is a good one. Check this out.
Oh, that's an oldie but a goodie.
God.
Now, see, I like this one because at first I saw this when it was small in a meme feed, and I didn't see the goblin under the table, so I thought he just had a big glowing bell end on his desk. I was like, "Why is he looking at a giant glowing penis?" And then I saw the little goblin when I embiggened it. I just this made me laugh. I thought this was good and wanted to share it with you guys. Next up, ever think a joke to you?
I plead the fifth.
I love this one. You can thank Chris for this one too, I think.
Oh, that's beautiful.
This is white guilt in a single image, and why it's bad, and why it doesn't work.
This is white guilt combined.
It's
with
even better when you see the ACAB tag.
Yeah, you can see ACAB right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, I've seen your search history. Don't play coy. That's me. I made that. That's a Yiz meme. I made that today.
Oh,
I saw this on Twitter today, and somebody posted this image with a similar sentiment, but nowhere near as well phrased. And I said, you know what? That's good enough to make a meme out of. So
I've seen this one like 100 times with. Have you heard of your Savior and Lord, the Lord Cthulhu?
Oh, that's good. That's good too. That's good.
Yep.
I like that.
I've
like
seen
that.
it with the extended car warranty one too.
Next up, Martin Luther King.
Oh, my baby's got to eat. I needs them 200 new iPhones.
All right. Police deploy special tactics to disperse protesters. Are you my dad?
Oh, that was good.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. All right, we have a few more. We have George Lucas foreshadowed Padme becoming a senator in The Phantom Menace by having her fall in love with a child.
Oh, no, I didn't even think of it that way. No.
Yeah.
I just thought she had Mad Oni-chan energy.
Yes, I've just found one that I think you'll appreciate. Of the end to you on Discord.
Little Annie, how
that's
you've
good.
grown.
That's good, but I'm not adding it to the stack. It's too late. We're already in.
Fair enough.
Next
Little
up,
Annie, how you've grown.
in
You should see my
Predator
dick.
2 from 1990, the Predators recognize a child with a toy gun poses no actual threat, and so the Predators do not attack him. This implies that Predators have more ethical rules of engagement than the IDF.
Yes. In fact, they're the good guys.
Yeah, no, I like the Predators. They're pretty cool. They're a pretty cool species. I like their shtick. And last but not least is this gem here. Leaves rustling. Clever girl.
Classic.
Everybody thank
Yes.
Evil Author for that one. He sent that to me on Telegram earlier. Thank you, Evil
that's
Author. That was a good one.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
All right. I don't see any notifications of any new paid chats that came in, and I refreshed just to make sure we don't have anything new. So that is the end of the stream. That means it is time to shill. So let the shillings begin. Let's see. Well, we'll start with Kizza. Do you have anything to shill tonight, sir?
Nothing really, to be honest. Like, I mean, I do have a X account, which I occasionally upset people. I finally earned another block with a feminist.
Fair enough. Ginger, I know you're not a content creator. Do you have anything to shill while you're here tonight?
No.
All right. Ardent
Actually-
Party. I know you always have something to shill, sir.
I don't know what you're talking about. Just because I have Monday Media Review, Terra Nova Tuesday, Wordsmith Wednesday, Thinking Against Thursday, for fuck's sakes Friday, and then now on top of that, I'm doing Superhero Saturday, where I'm working on my own kind of personal creation called The Resolute. That's something I started last week. would have done it this week as well, but my internet issues have made it so that streaming is no longer viable on the weekends, and I have to basically do pre-recorded videos now. I'm technically in a week off, but what I'm actually doing is using this supposed week off to kind of front load some content. So starting Monday coming, you guys will start to see more regular videos from me. The first one that should be out on Monday is a Monday media review for a film called The Killing Zone from 1999. There's a content creator called Ian David Diaz. He's the writer director, and he's also known as the Mega Geek. And I've kind of ended up in sort of an orbit with him based on some of the chats that we both frequent. So I had offered as a joke, he had mentioned that he had written and directed this movie yesterday or the day before. And as a joke, I had said, oh, maybe I'll review that and tear it apart. And he did say, well, I kind of welcome it. So no apologies, Mega. You got what you got.
Also, do not come. Do not come.
Do not come.
And as I say, I'm trying to get more and more regular stuff out. So I've kind of moved away from the streams. This last week, I did manage to get a Wordsmith Wednesday out, though I'm only able to do about a chapter at a time before my voice starts to kind of give out. So I did get the latest chapter of Moonraker done. That's up. Should be on both my YouTube and my Rumble. Quick note about the Rumble. I've moved away from using Ardent Plays. I'm now using Ardent Party far more because as I say, I've moved away from the game streaming.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not done game streaming. I'm just doing it less often.
Okay, then I'll go back to I'll use your Ardent Party current thumbnail on my stream thumbnails then, because I've been using Ardent Plays the last few times. Christopher, is there anything you want to shill tonight, sir?
Yes, if you have a minute of your time, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to read a very short snippet of my new book that I'm writing, and I have it translated in English.
Please.
So, for just a reference, this is a book about a pirate ship named the Destinarius, which is very important in my book series, the regular book, I mean. And this one-shot book will tell the fate and the final story of this pirate ship. So here is the manifesto of the pirate crew. Here reside the exiles, the outcasts, the unwanted, the lost souls. We shall ride forever sea and horizon until the waters call us back into their embrace. The Destinarius will lead its own.
Awesome.
I'm not a very good reader, sorry.
That's okay. I can't wait for all of your material to get translated, because what little that's been translated that you've shared with me is great. I can't wait for your stuff to be available in English.
Thank you. And I will try to have a new material to read, very short thing like this, every time I come to your stream, if it's okay by you.
Of course. No, I'd love that. I love that. 3, I've already shared the link that you posted in the private chat into all the stream chat. Go ahead and tell people about it.
Yes, we appear to have a new based channel that has just exploded out of nowhere. It's called Basic Logic IQ, and Asmongold has already done a video on him. He's amazing. He does a really good job of explaining what we explain, but in brief videos on many different important topics. He is very much worth your time. You will watch one video and get addicted.
Okay.
I highly recommend the Wyvern Suffrage one.
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
I think that Leaflet has covered multiple videos of the guy, no?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, the VTuber girl.
Him today, too, he is.
Say again?
Artie, Rhetorically Defective, he was on with him today as well.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Oh, that guy. No, I remember Artie and Fist bringing him up. Yeah. Okay, cool. Or at least Artie. I listen to a lot of his stuff while I'm working and driving, just because he's fun to have on him in the background. Anyway, thank you to all our wonderful panelists for being here. Thank you to you lovelies who shared your dollars with me. It means so much. Thank you very much. We will be back next Monday with Not Me, Not You of the Old Glory Club, and Newsfist returns. And we'll have a bunch of good stuff to talk about next week. So if you missed the political slop this week, you will definitely get some of that next week with the boys. So I have a morning walk video coming out tomorrow, and who knows what else. But I'll definitely be back next Monday night for more Discordant Dragons. Good night, everybody. God bless.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Don't get
Take
shot.
care, all.